Hey there, guys. Okay, this is video number 7 of So You Want to Make a Boggle Game. So in the last video we did some touch-ups and added a little bit of code to make things work a little better. In this video we're going to have and this is something that Boggle doesn't do, but I think it's pretty cool, so we're going to add this. But I'm going to put the word checker here into our scene, and basically Boggle doesn't check to see if, it checks, but it doesn't show the user if the word they're making is an actual word or not. But that's something we're going to add because I think it's pretty cool. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is, as I said, drag the checker in here. I'm going to open the checker, just make sure there's no extra code. There's not. Okay, so the trigger is it a word equals 1 or is it a word equals 0? If it equals 1, it means it is a word. So we're going to go into the display word, and we're going to add a constrain attribute. And we're going to constrain game check word to, and then we're going to open up this display text, and I'm going to copy it all by pressing Command C and then Command V into this one. Then I'm going to hit OK and OK. So basically what we're doing is we're constantly constraining the selected word that we've made to the check word attribute. The check word attribute is a text attribute. It's already there. You don't need to make it. It was part of the word checker demo that I've given you. So now that we have that, I'm going to show you a trigger here. Let's just add an actor here. We're going to delete this actor. You don't need to add this if you don't want to, but you can follow along if you want, because we're going to delete it in a second. It's just for testing. I'm going to go change display game. Is it a word? I'll change it to a color. Hit preview. So right now it's not a word, obviously. So it does this. So I'm going to start making a word here. Let's see. R, still not a word. A, still not a word. C, still not a word. K. So now it knows that it's a word. Rack. If I go with an I, nope, no longer a word. Go back to K. Yes, it's a word. So now we can successfully test and check to see if a word is a word. So I'm going to hit back. I'm going to delete that actor that we just made. Go in here, hit delete. And now I'm going to go into this display word. Now you can use whatever indicator you want to show the user that the word that they've made is an actual word. I'm just going to do something simple here. I'm going to do rule. I'm going to say if attribute game is it a word is true, change attribute self color. I want to make it green, so we're going to go red to 0, and we'll add another change attribute here. Self color blue to 0. Because we want to make it green, we're going to leave green alone. And then, so if it's not a word, we want to do the reverse. We want to leave red alone. So actually what we're going to do is, just in case, because when it's bad and then goes back to good again, we'll need to set the green to its right color. So we are actually going to put green in here too. So color green to 1. 0. So red to 0, blue to 0, but green to 1. Now I'm going to select all of these by holding the shift button. Then I'm press Alt Option and drag down. Now, if it's bad, we want it to be red. So we're going to put red to 1, blue to 0, green to 0. I'm going to hit preview. I'm going to shuffle. And so as you can see, we have it. It's red, so it means it's not a word. Select, still not a word. O, W. Now wow's a word. If I go Z, not a word. Still not a word. Back to W. O, T, is that a word? No. So that's pretty much it. We can successfully test if it's a word. What we need to do next is to go in and make it so if I hit W, we can actually cancel out of the whole word and move somewhere else. We can't do that yet. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm just going to save this. Save this here as 14. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into this display text real quick. Instead of green, I'm going to use white, I think. See how white looks. Yeah, white looks better. Perfect. File, save. Don't save. File, save as 15. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to pause this for a second, just check something, and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, let's go into the letter actor. And we're going to go into the rule that says if pressed is used. Now, in this one here, if press is used, we have if touch is pressed and self is used, we're going to add one. And we're going to say if attribute self, what selection am I, does not equal 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to copy it. I'm going to hold down the Alt option and copy it up above, and I'm going to close that one, or shrink it. So now we have this bottom one here, and we're going to say used and is 1. Now we're going to make a self attribute. I'm going to hit plus sign. We're going to go index, and we're going to say touch count. And I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to come back to this rule, but I'm going to scroll down to if pressed first, or pressed first rule. We're going to change attribute, self, touch count to self, touch count plus 1. And then we're going to go into... let's see. I think we need to add something here. Yeah, we're going to put in here another one. We'll hit the plus sign. And we're going to say if attribute self touch count equals 0. And the reason why we're adding this touch count thing is so we want to know that the first letter touched has been touched more than once, because we don't want it reacting as if it was a first touch. So once we have that, we can shrink the if pressed. And now we can go back to if pressed and used and is 1 rule. And what we're going to do here is we're going to delete this if self used is true. And we're going to delete if this one here, if what selection am I equals 1. And we're going to add another one. We're going to add one that says if attribute game, how many letters selected is greater than self, what selection am I? I believe that should work. And we'll add another one and say if attribute game, self, touch count equals 1. And then for these 4 behaviors here, we're going to go in, open it, remove expression, change it to 0. Open it, remove expression, change it to 0. Remove expression, change it to 0. And change it to 0. Now I'm going to preview and see if this works. Fingers crossed. So I'm going to select 4 and go back to Z. And no, that's not working, so we have something we still need to fix. Okay, I paused it there for a second just to check, and I figured out what it is. So go back into your letter, just hit back, and go up to the, we have two rules here, two behavior rules, if pressed is used, and if pressed is used, and is 1. So we're going to do the first one, if pressed and used. Open that up, and it says here, if self what selection am I equal or is not equal to 0, change that is not equal to 1. And now we'll go ahead and press preview, open that up, and we'll select some of the letters, and we'll go back and hit the first one again, and boom, it's gone, it's reset, and you can now select somewhere else. And go back, just like that. Now, we can't select this letter again because it's one that we have the touch count thing on. So what we need to do is go back into our actor here, and we'll go down to the we'll go to the rule that says if pressed and used and is 1. We'll go in here and we'll go change attribute, and at the very bottom we'll put it in there, and we'll go self touch count to 0. So we're going to set that back to 0. So let's go try that now. So we'll select some of these, go to 1. No, so that's not going to work. So we're going to go ahead and throw that in a quick timer. And the reason why that's not working is because it's once we set it back to 0, it's then triggering our other touch rule. So that's no problem. We're just going to throw a little timer in here. I'm going to say after 0.1 seconds, run to completion, change it to 0. Go preview. Select these. Back there. Perfect. I can go select this. Perfect. I can go back. Hit the M again. No problem. Just as you'd expect. Okay, that's it for this video, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, post it in the forums, and I'll be answering them as soon as I can.